All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty heavy coming out of Missouri.
Yeah.
You actually sent me this YouTube video from the Ring of Fire, and it's about this bill proposed by Republicans that seems, pretty intense, to say the least.
Yeah, it is.
So our mission today, I guess, is to kind of unpack this video and see what it's saying about this proposed legislation and what it all means.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the video highlights two major things, right?
Yeah.
One is this potential system for rewarding people for reporting undocumented immigrants.
Right.
And then the second one is setting up these new state-level offenses related to immigration status.
Exactly.
So let's start with this whole bounty system thing.
Okay.
It mentions a possible $1,000 reward for anyone who reports an undocumented immigrant.
Yeah.
But then it kind of clarifies that, everyday people might be the ones giving the tips. But the money, the actual reward, would probably go to these professional bounty hunters.
Right.
The ones working with bail bondsmen who then go and act on that information.
Exactly.
So, have we seen this kind of bounty system before? And what are the usual challenges with these kinds of things?
Well, historically, bounty systems always raise these red flags about due process.
Yeah.
And the potential for abuse.
Makes sense.
Because you're creating this incentive.
Yeah.
That could lead to people being targeted based on just suspicion rather than solid evidence.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And this is where the video gets really intense.
Okay.
It directly compares this proposed system to the informants in Nazi Germany.
Oh, wow.
The ones who are rewarded for turning in Jewish people.
Yeah.
It's a pretty heavy comparison.
Yeah, it is.
Why do you think they brought up something like that?
Well, I think they're using that historical parallel to really drive home the point.
Yeah.
That these systems can create this climate of fear and division.
Right.
Where you're basically encouraging people to snitch on their neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
It's a scary thought.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the second part. The video talks about creating new state-level immigration crimes.
Right.
And they discuss this bill by Republican State Senator David Gregory, which they frame as basically trying to set up a state-level ICE program.
Okay.
So, legally speaking, what are the arguments for and against states making their own immigration crimes?
Well, traditionally, immigration has been mostly a federal issue.
Right.
But those who support states getting involved often argue that the feds aren't doing enough to enforce immigration laws.
Yeah.
And that immigration puts a strain on state resources.
Okay.
But then on the flip side, people worry about state and federal laws clashing.
Yeah.
And potential discrimination and basically ending up with this messy patchwork of immigration rules across the country.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the video says that just being undocumented could be labeled as improper entry under this bill. And that could mean a $10,000 fine and deportation. And then on top of that, they talk about this even more serious charge, trespassed by an illegal alien.
Right.
Which is
pretty harsh.
Yeah.
So what's striking about this trespass charge is that, according to the video, it could be used even if federal authorities decide not to detain someone after an arrest based on a tip.
And that's a huge point they emphasize in the video.
Yeah.
That this trespass charge could actually lead to a life sentence without parole.
It's unbelievable.
Even if the initial border crossing was just a misdemeanor under federal law.
Yeah.
That's a massive difference in punishment.
It is.
Are there legal principles that address this kind of discrepancy in sentencing?
Yeah, there's this principle in law called proportionality.
Okay.
Which basically says that the punishment should fit the crime.
Right.
So this huge gap between a federal misdemeanor and a potential life sentence at the state level, like the video describes, would likely be challenged in court based on this proportionality principle.
Okay, so let's try to sum up what this video is presenting to us.
Okay.
We've got this proposed bounty system that could encourage people to report undocumented immigrants.
Right.
And potentially benefit these professional bounty hunters. And then we have the creation of these new state-level immigration offenses, including this trespassing charge that the video claims could mean life in prison.
It's a lot to take in.
Even for a first-time misdemeanor, it's a lot.
It is.
It feels like these measures could really change things in Missouri when it comes to immigration enforcement.
Yeah. The way the video portrays it, it seems like they're trying to broaden who can enforce immigration laws.
Right.
And seriously increase the penalties at the state level.
Exactly.
It definitely raises some big questions about how this would all work in practice.
Yeah.
And what kind of legal challenges it might face.
It definitely makes you think about the potential impact this could have on society as a whole.
Absolutely.
It really highlights the tension between state and federal power and the potential consequences of these kinds of legislative approaches.
Yeah, definitely food for thought.
All right. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
It was a heavy one, but important to unhack all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody.